Namaste yogis, it's Cam from Flex Hot Yoga, back with our Posture of the Month series. And this month of June, we have Shirshasana, or Headstand, King of the Poses. So this pose isn't for everybody. If you have any neck issues, if you have any herniation in your spine, especially the top part, talk to your teacher because it might not be for you. We have options that you might be able to take. Aside from that, the muscles that we need switched on, we need to get the neck switched on. You need the core switched on. Think about balancing a piece of string, it's going to collapse. Think about balancing a broomstick, it balances in the center. So we need everything on in the core and the top part and the bottom part of the body when we're coming upside down. To begin with, we need to make a good, strong triangle, a base to place the head in. So I'm going to recommend we use the wall for that. So I'm going to take you over to the wall for the formative stage, the initial stages of headstand. All right, so our first drill that we're going to do is using the wall for support. So a couple of things that we need to get right first is the arm position. So headstand, especially supported headstand, could be just called forearm and pinky stand. So we're going to take most of the weight onto the forearms and into the shoulders through the skeleton that way, rather than directly down through the top of the head. So to do that, we need a couple of things. Firstly, we need to know what part of the head we're placing on the floor. Fontanelle, so base of the palm goes onto the bridge of the nose, middle finger right into the middle there, and that's the place that we're going to place the head onto the floor. Next thing we need is the correct arm position, which I'll show you in just a moment. And then once we've got the arms positioned correctly, you need to get strong enough so that both feet lift off the floor at the same time. So when you're transitioning from the wall into freestanding headstand, the only rule is that the toes leave the ground at the same time. If they don't, it just opens it up to a whole world of injuries that can happen. So toes must leave the ground at the same time, and that's going to show you that your core is strong enough to hold your body upside down. So it's a good way, it's a good indicator to know if you're ready to do a freestanding headstand. So, arm position. We're going to take the arms into what I call the triangle of power or triangle of strength. So to get there, you're going to use your forearms as a judge. So you take your elbows onto the ground, hold from elbow to elbow, and then release the hands and interlace the fingers. Now, really important, what happens for most people is they release the hands and they move the elbows. The elbows need to be nailed there. They need to stay there for this whole procedure so that the head is in the correct alignment and the arms are going to support the body. Your hand position, with the hands open like that, you're going to flatten both little fingers into the floor. So you're not going to stack on top so that they squish. You're going to flatten them so that they're in line on the floor like that. It's making a cup for the head. So once you've got your wall, you're going to take your fingers right up against onto the wall, snug onto the wall, then hold from elbow to elbow. There's your position. Release the hands so that they sit right up against the wall like that, gently sliding the elbows back but staying in the position that you need to be in. Just check again to make sure it's all right. Once you've got both of the pinky fingers flattened into the floor, placing the fontanelle in between onto the floor, pressing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, press the elbows down, tuck the toes and lift the hips into a dolphin-like position. Now, walking the feet in, you're wanting to squeeze the knees tight into the belly and pressing the elbows firmly into the floor. You're going to start by taking one heel to the buttocks and the other heel to the buttocks. That might be your first drill. If you're feeling okay, you might lift one heel, straighten the leg. Now notice my toes are nearly floating off the floor there. So that's giving me a good indicator I can lift that other leg up. Now you're not going to do that in a freestanding headstand. Why? Because the toes come off the ground at the same time. So the drill is to walk the feet in until you squeeze right in towards the chest, pressing the heels into the floor, lifting the heels up, and then lifting the legs. So the heels are gently on the wall and pressing the elbows into the floor. And then practice bringing the knees back down onto the mat. And there is your supported headstand. Second variation, if you're not confident enough yet to use the freestanding headstand, you can use the wall for a bit more assist. So from a kneeling position with the feet quite close, taking the elbows down onto the floor for your triangle of power, fingers interlaced, little fingers onto the floor, fontanelle in the middle. Tuck the toes and lift the hips, and placing one foot onto the wall to then take all the stack of the skeleton. So as you're feeling all of that weight coming onto the fontanelle, pressing into the elbows, taking one leg up, and then you can gently take the other leg up to match. And then coming down from there, taking one foot onto the wall and the other foot down onto the floor. Just a way of getting up before you're ready to bring both feet up at the same time. Now that we've done that and you've seen the first stages of your headstand, you're ready to progress to doing this freestanding on the mat. Now, I'd recommend getting onto the mat sooner rather than later so that you don't rely on the wall. So again, we're using our pyramid of strength. So to find your pyramid of strength, you're going to place the elbows onto the floor, hold it elbow to elbow, release the hands and interlace the fingers into a cup. Placing the fontanelle in between the hands onto the floor. To find the fontanelle, you take the base of the palm, place it on the bridge of the nose, and the middle finger, where it ends up, is the fontanelle. That little soft part, top of the crown of the head is here, and it's just that little ridge there. That's where we're going to aim to place the head on the mat. So pyramid of strength, releasing, interlacing the fingers, find the fontanelle, tucking the toes and lifting the hips into a dolphin-style position, walking the feet in, squeezing the knees towards the chest, and then floating the heels. From there, pressing the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and everything is on upside down. Pressing the elbows strongly, squeeze the elbows towards the midline, and pressing the tongue to the roof of the mouth. And to come down, squeeze the knees into the chest, and taking the knees and the feet back down onto the floor. So that's your supported headstand. Once that's feeling good and you're very confident about how the weight on the neck feels, you can progress into a tripod headstand. Coming into this from a wide-legged position, hands are down onto the mat. From our wide-legged position, you're finding your triangle of power again. Once you're there, placing the hands where the elbows were and placing the fontanelle onto the floor. From this position, you can access the back of the elbows with the knees. So once you're feeling comfortable there, you can lift the heels off the floor. Squeezing the elbows towards the midline, press the hands into the floor, tongue to the roof of the mouth, and extend the legs to the sky. Again, everything needs to be on, the core is strong. And to transition back out of there, just bringing the knees into the chest and placing the feet down onto the floor. Once you've done your headstand, releasing through the neck, either with rabbit pose by placing the head onto the floor, hold the back of the heels and gently rock backwards and forwards, or just a gentle child's pose with the knees together. So as you breathe, you're softly massaging through the spine and opening and re-lengthening the spine. So there it is. There's your headstand, king of the poses. Have fun with it, and we'll see you on the mat. Namaste.